All right, guys, welcome back. We got episode 4 here with Dan Markham. Dan, thanks for coming.
Hey, this place is rad. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Dan's an amazing YouTuber. He may be the best this side of the Mississippi. Arguably, he is. What do you have? 7 million followers on YouTube, I think I checked.
Yep.
Insane.
7 million on our main channel. Then we have a second channel that's been our more active channel that has like 2.2 million.
Jeez. And I mean, you have a lot of followers on every social media platform, it looks like, but your story, you know, I met you, a year ago, maybe just under a year ago at Justin Prince's house. And just, I think I sat next to you actually at the table. And I just remember thinking, I'd heard about you from a lot of people.
Was this the dinner where they said, bring somebody interesting and we're going boating? Is that it?
Yeah, and then it didn't happen.
And then it didn't happen. We just sat.
The boat was having issues.
I thought that it was like a setup by Justin Prince, like, you know, the dinner for schmucks or whatever it is. Have you seen that show where they're like, have you ever seen that? Oh, you haven't. Okay. Steve Carell's in it. Luke's seen it. He's like, it's a dinner where you bring the most interesting person, but it's somebody, and they all make fun of them and they give an award for like the nerdiest person that they bring. So I'm like, am I being set up here? Like, what type of person am I supposed to invite? I don't think I want to do the schmucks type dinner. I actually want to bring somebody interesting, but it ended up being awesome people. Like,
awesome.
Of course, Justin invited cool people.
For sure.
Because we just sat there and talked for like 3 or 4 hours. That's it. Gosh, I feel like I've known you longer than that. But
yeah, that's where we met. And I just remember, I think, like I said, I was sitting next to you. I think we had a couple conversations, and I just remember thinking, this dude's legit. And then I didn't find till later what you did, and then it all clicked because I'd heard your name multiple times. Like, he's the guy that has those cool Teslas and cuts things in half and loves.
Small town.
It's a small town, but I mean, and like I said, I mean, even Western United States or even worldwide, still you're well known. So pumped to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
And pumped to be able to add some value for people that are going to listen to this. I think that people, like we talked about a little bit before, I think there's so many people that are interested in video and how to get their brand out there. Maybe it's a purpose or a passion. Maybe it's just something they're interested in, and just to get attention on them so that they can blow it bigger. And you've been able to do that in a very effective way, bigger than most people. And so let's dive right into it. Let's dive into your story, maybe background, and we can go wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Cut me off if it's too personal, but I'll try not to get too personal. So, I mean, you said that you were born in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And so what's that story?
Yeah. So my dad was a structural engineer, happened to work in the Philippines, and when I was born, and it was kind of cool because I went back when I was 19 as a missionary, and the very first building that I went to on Sunday I was like so far away from home, you know, like this foreign country, even though I lived there for like 3 years, but I don't remember, I was a baby. But when I went back when I was 19, the very first building that I went into was the first building that he worked on. Wow. When he was a structural engineer right out of college, and he worked for a church, and he like did all the buildings and stuff. So,
and your dad just told you that later? How'd you
told me that later? Yeah. I sent him a picture and I'm like, hey, having church here. And he's like, sends me a message, an email back, and he's like, that's the first building we worked on. He sent me a picture of it. Like, we call it the Crab because it's shaped like a crab, and there's a crab place across the street. Anyway, super random.
I feel like life has so many of those cool stories.
It does. Everything just kind of ties in. So yeah, born in the Philippines, but really grew up in Utah.
Sandy.
Grew up in Sandy, Utah, and then moved away to Arizona State for a few years, went to college, got a job as a pharmaceutical sales rep, did that for 12 years. It took me to Albuquerque, New Mexico for 3 years. Love that place. Thought we were going to live there forever. A job switch with a new company. I got recruited out to leave Pfizer, big bad Pfizer, selling Viagra and Lipitor. Moved to Salt Lake to sell this drug for hemophilia patients, super rare. And it basically is a super rare drug for people that have this bleeding disorder. Yeah. And so I covered 8 states and did that for 3 years. And then finally,
you're traveling.
Yeah.
At this point.
Traveled a lot, which people always say now. They're like, Dan, you travel so much as a YouTuber. You're always somewhere. And I'm like, I actually travel less.
Really?
When I worked as a drug rep, every week I was gone somewhere. It's a lot.
Because now I see you're in Europe. You're all over the world all the time.
I do travel.
I just got back from, where were you?
Got back from Italy.
Europe, right?
Yeah, 20-year wedding anniversary. So
heck yeah,
went out there for a bit. Thanks. It was great. So yeah, randomly, my son had a second grade science project back in like 2014. And he wanted to know what's inside of sports balls. A lot of people probably know this story if they've seen what's inside over the years, but essentially he wanted to know what's inside of sports balls instead of just being that dad, which I've been before, where I just like print out from the internet like a picture of the core of a baseball. I'm like, I went to Ace Hardware, terrible with tools, bought a clamp, got a baseball. I chopped it open. I cut it open. My son had the flu. If you watch the video, it's a terrible video. I just had my iPhone sitting there on the countertop filming it. And I read
iPhone 2.
It was, seriously, it was not good, not good quality. And then as the counter would shake, the phone would move because it was like plugged in, so the battery would die. And I'd like put it back. It's such a bad video. But anyway, we made like 5 different videos of cutting open these different sports balls, basically so the end of his school project he could have at the bottom. And if you want to see my dad cutting these things open, you can go to my YouTube channel. So if you go right now to youtube.com/Lincoln Markham, it's still our What's Inside YouTube channel, 7 million subscribers. It was just to get some extra credit points. But of course, like that entrepreneurial side of me, on the back end, I'm looking at these videos and I thought about it. I'm like, this could work also because people are curious. They want to ask questions. They want the answers to questions. So putting that on YouTube, at the time, people searched for questions on YouTube more than they searched on even Google.
Yeah.
And so we had 5 individual videos, and I'm thinking if somebody hits a home run in baseball, hopefully that night they're watching the highlight and then maybe suggested video would pop up and say, what's inside of baseball? And they're like, oh, let me click on that. Took like a year. We were making like 2 pennies a day, 15 cents a day on YouTube through the ad revenue thing they have. And finally, like a year later, we made like $4 in one day. And I was like, we have made it.
Yeah.
We can make more of these videos. Just imagine. So I told Lincoln, I'm like, if we could make 200 or 300 videos, have every one of them making $2 or $3 a day.
Right.
At that point, the whole like rich dad, poor dad, you've got these houses that are like making money for you while you sleep. I'm like, these will be little assets for us that are just making money. So I'm like, do you want to keep doing this and get some money for college? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Which is funny because now he's trying to decide what college to go to at this point. He's 17 years old now. He's a junior in high school. That was 2nd grade. And I haven't cut anything open for about a year and a half on YouTube. A lot of people may not realize that, but our main channel, we haven't posted anything. But our family channel has 2 million subscribers. We've been posting a ton of videos on there. That's kind of the brand where I've been doing a ton of stuff on there, and then all the other socials and everything. So anyway, that's kind of how it started. That's like that 2nd grade science project. And once we decided to go all in, it took about 1 year to hit 1 million subscribers and to get the audience, get the following. And then about a year and a half after. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's go there because, hearing this story so far, I'm already super intrigued because there's so many people out there, I think, that have these cool ideas. And they're like, how do I get started? Or what? It's like, ready, aim, fire. And you're more like ready, fire, aim, right? Like just go for it. And so I love that side of your story. But with video, I mean, people post video all the time on YouTube. And it never blows up, and it never. So when you're talking about like going all in, you said that phrase, and that was kind of lit my brain up. What does that look like? Like, what did you do, looking back, to go all in?
That's the thing I love about every social platform is that anybody can really make it. You can make it if you have an idea. You don't have to have like the most novel idea, like, oh, why didn't I think of cutting something open? I can't make a YouTube channel, or I can't do this on social media. You can. All the information's out there. A lot of it takes the research. And that was the first thing that I did is I started researching, just Google searching, like search engine optimization, SEO for YouTube.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should put captions on your videos so that the algorithm knows what things you're saying in the video are actually the things that you're saying. And they know the words, not so that...
So the algorithm will scan your video for the captions in the video.
Yes.
Words on the
Because
video.
At the time, and it still holds true somewhat, is that you could say anything. People would put tags and they would spam the tags, or they'd spam the description and say, this video is about this and this and this and that. But then their whole video is about nothing about that. And that would make the algorithm mad, the YouTube mad, the video wouldn't do as well. And so if one time we cut open a punching bag, like a boxing bag, and I made sure before, I'm like, hey, we're going to mention Manny Pacquiao, who was big at the time. We're going to mention Floyd Mayweather in the video, maybe Mike Tyson. We're just going to throw their name out at some point in the video. That way, when we do the captions and we post it on there and we do the tags, if anybody's watching a Manny Pacquiao video, the algorithm will say, hey, this video about a punching bag, they actually talked about Manny Pacquiao in it. It's about boxing. Let's recommend this to them. So like that was just a small thing. I just read it online, like, oh, do the captions. It turns out nobody ever did. There's a website called rev.com. It was like $1 a minute. If your video was 7 minutes, it was $7 to do the captions, and I'd pay for it. They'd put it in there. A person would do the captions.
Yeah.
And so that was one little thing. And then I just started researching like, oh, if you have your video at the time over 10 minutes long on YouTube, then you can place ads within your video. YouTube likes that because YouTube makes more money, and that's good for Google. So they're going to recommend that video more. Then I read that people there's a little thing on there that showed 4K. If you filmed your video in 4K, which I've got my camera, phones now do it in 4K, but most people weren't doing it because they didn't want to have to edit that much footage and have that much raw files.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm like, hey, if it says 4K and that's an option, and if I can future-proof my videos so that in the future, if they're watching it on like a 76-inch TV, I don't even know if 76 inch is actually a number for a TV, but a big TV, it'll actually look good for them. And so we would do it in 4K. And at the time, not that many people were doing it in 4K. And so it was annoying. As soon as I got the 4K camera, filmed a couple of videos, I went to use my computer. At that time, we'd made $6,000 in ad revenue. I bought the camera, that took it down a couple thousand. Then I went to edit the video, and my computer wasn't capable to edit 4K. So we had to spend the rest of the money that we'd earned to buy a new laptop to edit it. So anyway, I did a lot of these things that it's totally standard. You can read up, and right now, every platform has an algorithm. Things change. There's a lot of people that are sharing what to do, what not to do. And if you listen to that, that's like going all in. It's not just about making the viral content and doing that stuff, but it's like doing your research, what's working on what platform, what's not working, what to avoid. And then from there, you can actually find some success in that. Because if you're going to spend the time and make the videos, you better understand how the platforms work so that at least your video has a better chance of being seen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just goes out into the void and people aren't going to watch it.
Right. That's super gold. So all of that stuff I feel like is, okay, hey, let's set this up to win, right? But then the actual filming and like you getting better as a person on camera.
Yeah.
Or you saying certain things, or, let's talk about that a little bit. Like, how have you seen it? Because I think this is big. I think that so many people are like, I'm not good on camera. I'm not good at video. I'm not good in front of a camera, so I'm not going to start. Like, I guess first question, did you ever feel that? You don't seem like a guy that is that way to me. Like, you're so good at it, number one. But did you ever feel that way? And then what were the things that you did to get better at, like, your hooks and looking better, smiling more? Like, do you go and watch all your video and just, like, critique yourself? What's your process?
You watch the videos. We were not very good at the beginning, and some would say we're not good now, but the authenticity, you hear that word a lot in social media, and you've got to be comfortable. You've got to be yourself. We were talking before this started, before we were just chatting, and you were asking me a few questions, and I'm like, let's just hold off because I have to be authentic. And if you ask me the same question, I'm not going to be authentic. I'm just going to say something and it's going to sound canned. But that is one thing I definitely learned. Like, people will click away so fast on social media if they feel like you're not being yourself. And I don't know.
That's true.
You see it like in whatever profession, like as a sales rep, you've got to be yourself. I was terrible. Like, I never spoke in my church until I was leaving on my mission at 19 years old. They would ask me all the time, like, can you speak? And I'm like, nope,
no,
too shy, won't do it. I even came back from my mission after 2 years in the Philippines thinking that I'm really good at speaking. I was terrible. I was scared. I took a public speaking 101 at UVSC up in Orem, Utah. And all you had to do is get up and speak for like 5 minutes, and then you got the A. And I was terrified, and I was terrible. And then I became a drug rep for a pharmaceutical company, and it was hard. I had to learn and do all this training stuff. So that's the thing with YouTube. Like, try to find, you've got to be authentic. All of us are not good on camera at first. It's okay. Like, it's all right. If your videos suck, at least you're putting something out there and you're doing it. If you had to talk about something you're not as familiar about, maybe you wouldn't be as good. But when you're talking about real estate and something that you live every single day and something you're passionate about, people are going to feel that and know that. Yeah. If I ever do a sponsored video, which we do a lot of, we work with a lot of companies. If they gave me a script to work off of, I'm awful. Like, Lincoln and I are so bad about just like a script. You'd watch it, like, who are these guys? So why would this brand even work with them? They don't even know how to do it. And so that's probably one of the main things, is just being okay with being authentic. The second thing I'd say for people to do is you've got to just make content and get it out there. And a lot of times Casey Neistat's a big YouTuber. He hasn't published as much over the last few years.
Who was it against?
Casey Neistat.
Okay.
He did a thing. He made films back in the early 2000s. He sold it to HBO. It was like the beginnings of vlogs. He sold this series. He's a filmmaker. And then when YouTube came out, he's like, I'm going to start posting stuff on YouTube. And he's like, but I'm not going to make a vlog, a boring video every day. I'm going to post a movie every day. And so he filmed his life for like 2 or 3 years, and every single day filmed a video that you watch it and you're like, this is so good. And it's him filming it, him editing it, and him putting it out. We did some videos with him, and we spent some time with him, like, off camera. And one of the things he says is, like, a lot of people are held up by putting out perfect content. They think their content has to be perfect. And he's like, I would rather have 4 good pieces of content versus 1 perfect content. It's more important that you get the content out there and you do your best. Your stuff's going to evolve. You're going to get better and better, but don't be so afraid of putting something out there that it has to feel like it has to be perfect, that it holds you back from even posting it. Just put it out there. Just make something good. Edit it the best you can. You're going to get better at it. People are going to see it. It's all right. You might have some people that are negative, but it's better to at least get something out there. I think a lot of people that own businesses, they want to get into video and do social media, and they're busy. They're entrepreneurs. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and they feel like they need to hire an entire team. They need to get like 1 billion cameras. You got your cell phone, you're good to go. Like, you can walk into a house, you're a realtor, you can film stuff in there. You can film vertically and film it on your phone. You can post it to every platform, YouTube Shorts, post it to Instagram Reels. You can do TikTok with it. You can post it to Snapchat. So I don't know. That's
so good. And it's true. I just was on the phone with a real estate agent friend of mine in Tampa, Florida yesterday, and he was talking about how he's gotten into YouTube and he started filming on his iPhone, and he has 9 deals. He just got his license not too long ago, and he has 9 deals under contract, and every single one of them has come from his YouTube videos.
Love it.
And he's like, it makes so much sense because they go on Google to search what are the best communities in Tampa, Florida. And then he's trying to optimize his video to where it'll pop up in those searches. And then he'd just film subdivisions. He said all 9 of them would call him either in the middle of the video or after the video and say, hey, just watch your video, or I'm watching your video. And can I like buy this home right here? And he's like, it saved me showing him 10 homes. And a lot of time I wouldn't even meet them or meet them at the house. We just write up a contract, send it over, get under contract. And I have 9 under contract right now. And one of the ones that he just closed was worth $5 million, I think, from YouTube. Like, the power is unreal, but it would never start. I think, going back to your point, that would have never happened if he didn't just go try. Because his content, I remember, and Brett, I love you. You have gotten way better. And I feel the same way about my stuff. You feel the same way about yours. But at the beginning, his content was not that great. And I think that's a lesson, and that's gold too. I hope everybody takes that down and just says, look, I'm just going to go and fire away, because this is the process for everyone. There's no YouTuber out there, social media influencer of any kind that I know of, and back me up on this and shoot me down if I'm wrong, that was good right off the bat.
Oh yeah. Like we've done videos with Mr. Beast before. Like I know Jimmy, like we've done stuff together. Like, he follows like 500 people on Instagram. He just gained 13 million this week from his giveaway that he just did. Insane. And one of the 500 is us. I was looking at it with Leslie today. I'm like, that's kind of funny that he follows us. That's wild. I'm not like bragging or anything, but we've worked with him.
It's legit.
We did a video with him, and I remember it was when Fortnite was big at the very beginning. We put balloons on our back. We were on a team with 3 of us. We ran around with 12 other groups of 3 different color balloons in LA, and then with like pellet guns. And the last team standing got like, I think $100,000. And so we took like 6. We didn't win the thing. Had some issues. So it was funny though. But I remember being there and going, this is going to be the best video ever, because I knew the storyline, all these different angles. But again, respect to Jimmy, he's the biggest YouTuber in the world. His editing team took a week to edit it. They had a ton of GoPros to go through. They didn't really have a good idea of this. I don't even think his editors were there. Maybe they didn't get much narrative of what to make the storyline, but it wasn't a very good video. It wasn't great. The edit was bad.
Arguably the best YouTuber in the world.
Yes.
Right.
And now you look at Jimmy, and he's taking more time in between videos. His quality is so good. He did the Squid Games video, amazing video, and he just did one video on it. He could have done multiple videos. He just did one. The editing was great. The storyline was good. He's improved a ton. But even at that point, he was already one of the biggest YouTubers in the world, but he wasn't great at editing videos. Like they had fast pace. They got the views, but people were going to watch either way. So yeah, I think it's okay to not be as good. And to your point, one of my employees, his dad owns a big like home building company, not in Utah, out of state. Like, and somebody told him recently, like, you should go on Twitter and start sharing your brand, like put yourself out there. He's got 121 followers on Twitter, and his son was telling me, hopefully this isn't confidential information, but I follow the guy now. I've been watching him, and he's basically replying to people in Minnesota. He's sharing some tips about like, oh, I already said the state. Anyway, he's been sharing stuff about things he's doing there. Right now, he's only been doing this for like 3 or 4 months, 121 followers. And his son told me that right now he's working on the final stages of a $60 million land deal that is just from Twitter, just from his engaging with people on Twitter. Didn't make a video, just commenting with people in his area and showing himself as a thought leader. And all of a sudden he's got these connections. And so it's kind of funny how social media can do that.
That is a good point. And I think maybe jam on that for a little bit. You and I for a second, like I have it, I'm nowhere close, right? But I started getting into video and video content, starting this podcast, long form, trying to get into it more and more because I feel the power behind it. And so I feel like I'm in those beginning stages, right? But just the little bit that I've done posting consistently every single day for the last 6 months, the people that I've met in the last 6 months has been incredible. And like when I go out, everybody, like the first thing he says, dude, I love your stuff. I love your content. I love your stuff, right? That would have never happened if I wouldn't have ever started. With you, you know, Mr. Beast, like who could say that, right? He follows 500 people. Like you're one of the 500 and he has millions and millions of followers. Talk to me about how like you feel about that whole saying of like your network is your net worth and how that's helped you get to where you are today.
It's interesting. I think collaboration is a big thing with YouTube. And I think with any social media, that's probably something that I think that you would want to look at, even if right now as a realtor, like instead of being scared of your competition, it'd be good to be collaborative with some of the people that are doing a similar thing with you and you guys can both grow together. But early on with YouTube, we were growing pretty well. And then some other YouTubers approached us. They're like, hey, you want to do some videos together? And we've done a lot of collaborations with people. And we kind of learned over time to be a little bit selective. Like we want to work with people. It was me and my son. And I'm like, I want it to be family friendly. I want it to be somebody that is a good person. Like I'm friends with them off camera and on camera. This isn't just a business deal where we get together and hang out. I think that's the cool thing about you and a lot of these friends that I've met that's in this group. It's like a lot of people that are just like, we went and watched the fight the other night with like 15 people. And I'm like, these are all like Justin Prince's buddies, but everybody, they're all good people. They have similar values. I think when you're in that kind of network, like everybody grows and learns together. And it's the same way with collaborating with people on YouTube. Like there's certain people that are pretty big that we've had opportunities to work with. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to work with them. Or certain brands that have thrown a lot of money at us, like, let's work with you, and don't necessarily want to do it because it doesn't really fit our narrative and our brand. And that goes back to your authenticity. I think people feel that and know that. So it is definitely good to associate yourself with good people.
I love that. One of the things that I say all the time is your vibe attracts your tribe. And when you talk about authenticity again, we bring that up again. If you're not authentic, you're vibing something that's not you as well. So then when you go to network with people that you want to vibe with, you're not attracting the people that you really want to. So it's not only that you're not getting the stuff that you want and you're going in a totally different direction. And if you just are yourself, like everybody wants you anyway. There's only one you. And for me, even like in my beginning stages, I've thought, am I interesting enough? Right. And I think a lot of people think that. You probably thought that.
Oh, all the time.
You cut
all the time. Like
a golf ball.
I was
I mean,
I'll be in the airport on the phone with somebody. I'll get off the phone and then somebody that's sitting behind me stand up and walk around and go, hey, this is really awkward and weird, but are you Dan from What's Inside? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I just heard your voice. And I'm like, that's your voice. I knew it. And I know growing up, like, this is so odd. I'm like, I want to be a weatherman when I'm older. I remember writing that in elementary school. Like I loved watching the local news in Salt Lake City. It's just fascinating. I'm like, Mark Eubank, he's so amazing. But I'm like, but I don't have the voice for it. My voice is not good on like camera for a news anchor or whatever. And now people like around the world recognize my voice. It's really weird. Like sometimes we think we have these weaknesses and we build them up too much. Like we think that we're not good at something and it turns out it doesn't matter. We're bringing ourselves down. So I think here's one funny thing. So yeah, you're saying you've been doing this for 6 months. I remember like 3 or 4 months ago, I had somebody reach out to me from up north and they're like, hey, their son stayed at our house for a golf tournament. And they're like, hey, we're looking for homes down here. Do you know any good realtors down here? Instantly, I think of you. I had just met you, but I followed you on Instagram. I saw your stuff that you're posting and I'm like, he knows this area. He's legit. He knows what he's doing. He's really good. I don't know. Maybe you had never sold a house before. Maybe you had, but I'm like, and so I messaged him like, hey, this is one of my friends. I don't know from the realtor side of it, but I trust him and I think you do a really good job. I send them to you. I see them 3 days later and they're like, crazy story. We just closed on a house. Your friend is legit. He was awesome. And it made me feel good. I'm like, good, I did a good referral. And then I messaged you and you're like, oh man, crazy story behind that one. I'll have to tell you someday. But how cool is that? Like that's a lead you would genuinely not have got. I know a couple people that, like, when we bought our house, we used a different realtor. Good guy.
1,600. I mean, there's a lot more in other states, but yeah, there's thousands.
There's lots of realtors. And I feel like there's a lot of realtors that, yeah, there's going to be some that do video and they go out there and they put themselves out there. But there's also a lot of realtors that are just super lazy and they're like, yeah, I'm going to collect my 3% on $1 million home. And even though I didn't do much work, like there's a lot of old school there that's never going to do the videos.
For sure.
You know how many realtors are going to throw a drone up and fly around a house? And like today I flew my drone in through the front door and out the back. It was so cool.
That is cool.
But if a realtor is so easy, you're out there by yourself. It feels lonely. You got this house that you're going to show. Before you even list it, you throw the drone up, get some shots of it, talk about the area, film a little something, edit it together real quick, put that out like the day you do it. Or maybe you have like a newsletter group of people that get to see your video before. And you're like, hey guys, new listing coming out in 3 days. It's like a pocket listing, but it's like a legit video that you just filmed your drone and talked about it. I don't know. I just feel like there's so many opportunities but just some people aren't willing to put in the work and actually do it.
Yeah, well, I think we need to dig into this goal that you're talking about right now too, because you're talking about like, hey, unique ways, and we're talking about real estate, but anybody can apply this to whatever industry they're in if they're self-employed. And really, I think hopefully that's more the audience. I think this is going to be more the audience anyway with this podcast. But talk to us about maybe the first part of the video, like how you can keep somebody's attention like a hook, but then like, you talk about drone flying through a house, you're talking about something that's unique, creative, like what are some of that you think in your mind, like, hey, this video was sick and did really well because of this?
It's funny because some videos, you have the best idea ever. You spend tons of time filming it. You edit it.
I know where you're going with this. This is true.
And then you publish it and it does terrible, so bad. And then you publish this video that's like your worst video you've ever made. You didn't almost spend any time on it. Yes.
Because you didn't want to.
And then it goes crazy. Our most viral video that we ever made in 2016, GQ and like all the magazines published a list of the 10 most viral videos of all of the year, of 10 most viral of the year in the whole world, like of the entire internet. Number one was Adele carpool karaoke with James Corden. Of course, that's amazing. That was so funny. And they just did the last one like a month ago, the last ever carpool karaoke, and it was with Adele. It was like rehashing that. So that was number one. Number two was this guy from, I think, Korea or Japan doing the pen, pineapple, apple pen, the stupidest song, but it's so catchy. I got a pen, pineapple. Anyway, it's funny. If you haven't seen it, you can go watch it and you'll never forget it. And then number three was this father-son from little old Utah with a YouTube channel. It started as a second grade science project. It was What's Inside a Rattlesnake Rattle. A video got 48 million views in the first 7 days on YouTube. Whoa. It was the most viral video all over the world. It was trending. I think it has like 100 million views now. That video, we had been sitting on it for 6 months because I was like, this video sucks. There's nothing inside of a rattlesnake rattle. There's no little balls. There's nothing. It's just these things. Nobody's going to care. There's nothing in it. The story's ruined. And so I'm like, we put a video out every month. We were consistent. So again, going back and learning the platforms with YouTube, it was like, be consistent, whether it's every day, once a week, twice a month, whatever it is, you pick that consistency and you stick with it because over time, the algorithm will love it and go for it. So anyway, I'm like, when we have a slow week, we'll publish this thing. We had, and this is probably going a little deeper, too deep on it, but like we had an offer from a toy company that week. We were driving back from St. George. I remember it. I still worked at my day job as a pharmaceutical sales rep. We drove up, we got an offer. I think it was for $50,000 to make a video about this toy, to take it apart. And I won't say what company it is because I don't think we signed an NDA, but still, I won't say what it is. Sure. But I'm like $50,000. That's pretty good. I think at the time my salary was like $150,000 a year. And I'm like, this is a third of my salary for one stupid video about a toy. This is amazing. So I handed it back to Lincoln. He looks at it and he's like, Dad, there's nothing inside of that toy that's stupid. Like, it's just this like toy. It wasn't Transformers, but it was a toy that like transformed into something else. And he's like, why would we cut that in half? That doesn't make sense. And I'm like, you're right. So we didn't do it. So we came home. If you watch the rattlesnake rattle video, we filmed the first half like 6 months earlier. We sat there at night while everybody was in bed, and I didn't even do my hair. Like, I had bedhead that day, and like I was just like, because we just drove up and we hurried and filmed the video. I stayed up all night editing it. I published it. I'm like, this is gonna be the dumbest video, and then it blew up. It was the most viral video, and I didn't even think it was that good. But because I was consistent, because I was sticking to that principle of like, if we're gonna make it on YouTube on this platform, we have to be consistent. It's Sunday. We publish a video every Sunday. We have to put it out. Put out this bad video. and it was the third most viral video of all of 2016 on the entire internet. So that's the kind of crazy thing. And it would be really easy for me to right now. I can look back and say why it went viral. I did a really good thumbnail. I purposefully like moved the thing out. It's a black table and I've got my hand on it with the razor blade, and you don't see that it looks like it's an entire snake, but it's just the tail. Great rattlesnake, or great thumbnail. Turns out that curiosity, people love curiosity on YouTube. It's like you see it, you're scrolling, you see something that in your mind, it's like it has to satisfy that question. And that's why every one of our videos was a question. Like, what is this? Or what, we'd always have a question, and have the thumbnail be something that makes your mind has to close the loop and be like, I've got to answer that. Rattlesnake rattle, people are scared of it. I'm touching it. Of course, that makes sense. And then it turns out the thing that I thought was dumb, that there's nothing in it, was the thing that educationally was super fascinating to people. They're like, I never knew that. It's the buttons. It's a tail, or they're called buttons, and they shake so fast that it makes a noise. It's like putting a bunch of cereal bowls on top of each other and you shake it, it makes noise. That's what the rattle's like, and it shakes so many times per second. So that actually made it more interesting that there's nothing in it, but I didn't know that. So it'd be easy for me to...
Nobody else probably knew that either, right? So it was...
Yeah. They interesting people, they watched it. And so anyway, like, yes, now you can, there's so many things you can look at. What I will say is this, like if you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business and you want to get into video, don't just limit yourself to YouTube. Don't limit it to Instagram, to TikTok, to Twitter. I publish my videos on Snapchat. Like, I've never done a snap myself. I don't even know. I know my son and the kids, like that's where they're all at.
Man.
This last week, I have one of my employees just posting all of our videos to Snapchat. And 3 days ago, he's like, hey, we did pretty good. We just made $500 in ad revenue today. I'm like, oh, that's cool. We made $500 off of a video that I'd already published on YouTube Shorts and it done well. I published it on Instagram Reels and it did well. I published it on TikTok and it got a few million views. Put it on there, it got like 300,000 views, and we made $500. And then today, just today, we were pulling up the numbers from the last 3 days. We made $900 today off of a video of a storage locker from 3 or 4 years ago in Arizona that I went to see what's inside of it. And it was the YouTube video that I just published natively on Instagram. Didn't post a link or anything. And we have reshared that video over 40 times. Every time you reshare the video, it's the same video, the views go back to it, but you can do a new title and text and you repost it. Most of the time people on Facebook think of it like YouTube. You post a video to Facebook and it's there forever.
Yeah.
We reshare it over and over and over. It was like the 42nd time that it took off, and now it's made a couple $1,000s in the last 4 days. But today was $900.
Wild.
And so it's like, it's kind of crazy. Like every platform is different.
But these are things probably you learn from your groups then, or just like you read it.
A lot of it, I'm just trying it. I'm just trying a lot of it. And sometimes, yes, from the different team creators. I do have a team. And I'm having them do a lot of the work, like on Facebook, and like put in the hours and try to post things. We learned stuff over the last 3 years, just like trying different things, and it's failing. Like for example, if you're trying to put something on Facebook, don't ever say the word TikTok or Facebook or YouTube.
Anything that's outside of
it. You treat every platform like they're the most important platform to you. You want that platform and their algorithm, no matter which platform it is, to think that it's the most important. One of my creator friends, she has like 20 million subscribers. Her business that she has is probably over 100 million in her clothing sales that she does now. So she barely makes any money off of her YouTube stuff, even though she's massive on there. And we were speaking on a panel the other day and a couple months ago, and she said that she posted a TikTok and the video got like 300 views in 3 hours. And she's like, this is crazy. I should be well over 1 million at this point. So she deleted it. She looked through it. She said the word YouTube. She just said the word YouTube, and she's like, I wonder if that's it. She re-edited it with her not saying the word YouTube. She republished that, and it took off and got like 6 million views in a couple of days. So it is crazy, like how every platform is really, really picky, and they get really bothered with you if you talk about other platforms. They're like little teenage children are mad about you talking about some girl or something.
Sure.
That's what the platforms are like. So like that's a simple thing. Yeah. Sorry,
this is all good stuff that a lot of people don't know. And I've felt, similarly with like, okay, you talk about how you have a video 4 years ago, right? And then you just repost, and then you make some good money on that video that you posted 4 years ago. I feel like if there are any real estate agents that are watching this, you're putting money, lenders, real estate, title, anybody in that industry, and maybe you can apply it to whatever industry you're in. But if you go and post a video, and let's say 2 years go by, you could still make money on that video, right? Like, but not from YouTube. Like somebody can call you from that video and be like, hey, I saw this video about Desert Color. Desert Color's still going to be growing in 2 years. Like, tell me about Desert Color. Tell me about this subdivision that you did a video on, right? And you could still make a commission on that. The thing that I think is interesting is that we're so wired to believe and think that, let me go spend money with Zillow. Let me go spend, realtor.com and all these leads that they hand me, but those don't compound, right? Like they don't keep coming back to me. The thing that I've heard you say over and over and over about your YouTube is like, these are little mini like assets that are continuing to give me residual income, but it's also pushing your brand. It's just like it's this monster that's just grown, and now you're just trying to like make it what you want it to be.
And that's what I love about Facebook. I'm going to keep going back to that. Like the audience for buying homes a lot of times, and for a lot of like customer facing stuff, Facebook is like the old people in a way. I like, my kids don't have an account. They never will have an account. There's a lot of 20-year-olds in college that will never have a Facebook account.
My youngest brother, who's 21, doesn't have one. He thinks it's the stupidest thing.
He'll never have it.
He's only 10 years younger than I am.
But yet my wife, I look multiple times a day, I'll go over and I'll look over and she's scrolling Facebook. And I'm like, that's so funny. I don't even have it on my phone anymore. Like I just have it on my computer. I don't even need to go on there. But the thing that's great about Facebook too is that, first of all, like I said, you can repost videos, but which will live forever. If you did a video like the 10 reasons why you should move to Southern Utah, or the best, I don't know, homes that are over $5 million that have sold in the last 6 months in St. George. Like you have these videos that are titled this way, or Desert Color, why Desert Color is the fastest growing place in subdivision in St. George. You publish this video, you can go in. The thing that people, if you look on your feed, like go on your feed and look at it at some point time, if you're on Facebook, you scroll through it, you're not going to see like the old days where it's like your grandma's like, today I made this pie.
Yeah.
It's like all the groups that you follow and the interests that you follow, that's what shows up.
Right.
For me, Tesla Roadsters. I love the Tesla Roadster and I'm in these groups for it. Tesla Investors. I got a couple of those. Like I'll scroll through and I'll see certain groups, and that's my Facebook feed. My brother-in-law loves side-by-sides and he loves off-roading and he loves RVs. His feed is all that stuff. And so what you can do, an easy thing, is go in. And here's a little hack that we did. So one of my employees from his personal Facebook, he doesn't say he worked for What's Inside. He would go in before we publish a video and join the Facebook groups of relevant groups of this video. So like, turns out there's a bunch of hamster lovers out there. We did a video of like a hamster mansion in our house, like this tunnels. No, we did. And so we made this huge tunnel.
But you're going, so hamster lover groups on Facebook?
Turns out they're massive. There's
shit.
so many. And usually you have to like answer some questions again, but and once you're in, you're not allowed to be spammy in these groups. They'll kick you out for certain things. But he would post the video as soon as we go live. He would post it and be like, man, look at this guy. Look at the tunnel he did. And then everybody, all the people that love hamsters would go to YouTube and watch the video. And then YouTube would see, oh, these people only watch YouTube's. These people only watch hamster stuff. And they're watching the video. Let's serve this video to other hamster type people. And so with Facebook, how easy would it be to like find these real estate groups and people, like if you're doing something in Sun River and you find people that are over a certain age that are part of groups, the Sun River group, and you go in, you're like, oh, look at this house over here. Look at this area. Desert Color is pretty nice. Is it better than Sun River? Like, like you have to ask these questions, and then all these people start engaging, and then they start watching the video and it keeps popping up. And so it's been a hack where we go and we share these videos in different groups and they live on forever. Like our What's Inside a Tesla Tire, that video has killed it because of groups. They love sharing it, and people get really mad.
Because of Tesla groups on Facebook.
Because of the groups, and they share
sharing
their groups.
YouTube link. So they have to actually click on it and go to YouTube?
It depends. Yeah, we now do the video authentic on there, but if we have a big video going live on YouTube, we will... I never would share it on our What's Inside like actual Facebook page, because sharing the YouTube link would kill our page. But if my employee from his personal page goes in and like shares the YouTube link, we'll get a bunch of traffic that doesn't look spammy, and they'll watch a lot of the video and comment on it. Like we cut open Steph Curry shoes once. We found Steph Curry fan club pages, joined a ton of them, shared the video on there.
But he's sharing it through his personal page.
Yep.
And then that's not hurting you.
Yeah. And now with Facebook, though, with posting videos on there, naturally that storage locker video, it does really well. What's funny is there were a bunch of uniforms, like soccer jerseys from somewhere in Scotland. All those teams are sharing it in their groups and like sharing it with their buddies. And I would give an estimate like, this thing's worth like probably $20, or this one's probably trash. And then they'd be like, that's not trash, that's this guy, and I can't believe you throw that away. And so it's really funny. That video hit so many people. Rolexes were in there. There's like all these things in this locker, and there's different things that people would find interesting and go share it in their groups, and then it'd become viral. And then we would go from our What's Inside page. We can see all the comments that are public every day, and we can go in and engage with those people and be like, oh, yeah, that is crazy. You're right. Or why did you like this video or whatever? As soon as they comment back to us, the video shows back up in their feed. And so once it shows back up in their feed, it's shown to more people. So it's just like spending some time engaging with it, and it's throwing gasoline on the fire.
Crazy.
Anyways, all right.
All these nuances, all the little things that just may have helped you grow to where you are today.
So sorry, I'm rambling on depth, but I'm trying to think of people that are like wanting to get in video. Hopefully this highlights like there's a lot of little dumb things you can do to just for every platform that can do well, and you don't have to have a massive following in order to be super successful to draw attention to your business, I feel like.
So here's the question: do you love it?
I love it. I'm a dork. Like, you watch the videos, and I'm so dorky and nerdy, and like, and yeah, I'm like a big kid in a way, and I
feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel like you're really like you're traveling the world. You get to do some fun, nerdy tech things, see some cool new stuff before it comes out, get some cool sponsorships, open stuff before anybody else opens it.
Yeah, it is fun. And like there's dumb little things I do that are just like Easter egg stuff. Like, we have a viral TikTok that is like probably 15 seconds long. Our trampoline is underground and it filled up with water. That happens often. We don't have a pump in there. And I wanted to show on a TikTok that our pool, you jump on it and it's just all water. And so I wore these Yeezys. I got like these turtle dove Yeezys that are cool shoes. We cut some open a long time ago, and I liked them, so I still wear them. I still get them. But I walked onto the pool, and then the water hit, which was really interesting. But like all the sneakerheads are really mad, and they comment like crazy and share it. Like, why would this guy wear the turtle doves in that muddy water? And then that video went super viral, like on every platform. And it's just a 16-second video. So it's kind of funny. Like, I'm just a dork and do things, but I also do look at the back end and I'm like, what would do well here? And so, yeah, I don't know.
How many videos do you feel like you've put out?
I don't know. I think we have probably 300 on our main channel. We probably have 300 on our family channel, maybe 400 on there. Got maybe 3 billion views on the YouTube side. Yeah, and then the shorts and TikToks, I don't even know, but even more than that on there. So
that's insane. I think it's so cool. Before we
probably taking you off track.
I love it. I feel like there's so many people that want this. They want you. They want your brain. And you probably don't even know it because it's what you're involved in every day, right? It's just like, this is just me. This is this is basic. This is simple, and other people are just like blown away that you would even think that deep into a video. And I think it's cool. But one of the things I wanted to highlight and maybe honor you for it before we were talking, I asked you the question. I don't know how I phrased it, but basically, did you always know that you were going to be successful, or did you always know you were going to make money? And like without hesitation, like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But it was a humble, like, yeah, I did. I love that. I think that mindset in anything that people are going into, whether it's video or anything else, is so important. But where do you feel like that came from? Let's talk about that just for a second. Your parents, from what I've heard, aren't entrepreneurial. They went to college, probably encouraged you to go to college, get a 9-to-5. I don't know if you know where it came from, but where do you think it came from, and how has that evolved over time?
Man, I mean, I would think that everybody wants to have some level of success. I would think that they want to rise up and do that. One of the things I think helped was we lived in a really, really rich neighborhood, like Sandy, Utah. The Larry H. Miller's kids and stuff. Like, there's a super fancy neighborhood called Pepperwood, gated community, and like a lot of really rich people lived there. And I went to school with these kids, and my dad worked for a church, and he was an engineer. Don't make very much money. My mom went back to, she was like a librarian at school. So they're both working, and they did a great job. They're great parents. But like, I didn't really have much of my own money to share. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to make some money someday. And I always just had that feeling like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'd read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 4-Hour Work Week, and I would be so motivated. I'm like, they did it. Why can't I do it? How can I do this kind of stuff? And so I think the problem is like, you don't know what it's going to be I never would have known that I was going to be a YouTuber because it didn't even exist back then. Like, it wasn't even a thing until like 2008 is when YouTube started. But even then, it probably wasn't until 2012 or 13 that people started making money on YouTube and like kind of doing work with brands and stuff. And then maybe 2016, 17 is when it was like really, really people were making a ton of money in a job. So I don't know. I just learned the skills. I went to school. And I think what a lot of kids come to me, a lot of teenagers, and are like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikToker. And they're like, I'm going all in. I'm quitting everything. I'm not going to school. And maybe it's a little old school of me, but I still am like, it's okay to go to school. It's okay to go to college. It's okay to learn these things. It's okay to get a regular job, but can you do stuff on the side and grow your business? Because I feel like once you're all in on YouTube and you're trying to do it, the comments and the views might impact you a little too much that you're not as authentic as what you need to be, because you're like so worried about these negative comments, or you're so worried about this, or this only got 100 views, I'm failing. And instead of like, okay, I've got my day job, I've got this thing. If this thing ever takes off, it's going to be great, but I'm going to film fun stuff. And if the topic isn't working and the idea that I'm doing sucks, I'm going to switch and transition to something else, and it's okay. So I'm kind of old school still that way. Like there is a bit of luck involved in some of the YouTube side of it and all that stuff. And I'd be foolish if I didn't say there was a bit of luck involved in our whole thing too. But I think like knowing that you can achieve more in life and know that there's opportunities out there. The world is huge. Like, yeah, we have 7 million subscribers, but what's that? Is that even like Manhattan? I don't know. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of opportunity. Like, yeah, I'm a big YouTuber, but I'm still even small in the YouTube world compared to like Mr. Beast or Mark Rober or some of these guys. So I don't know. I think there's opportunity for a lot of people. You don't even have to have a ton of subscribers and followers, but you can be passionate about it, find success. But I don't know. It's been a fun journey. It's been fulfilling. Like if life was to end at some point, like not even in like far off, I still feel like it's been a pretty amazing road. Like I've done some amazing things, and I don't think I've lost my way as a parent. My son's 17 years old, and I think that's one thing that I've seen some people go down a road where they find this success and then they forget about their family, they forget about their kids. And Lincoln hasn't been in videos. He was in videos all the time. He never has said to me like, Dad, I don't want to be in a video. Like, take me out of the videos. Like, but I just kind of felt like at some point I was like, his kid, I don't want him to be 25 years old and look back and go, Dad, why'd you steal my childhood? Yeah, I made millions of dollars, but I wish I could have just gone to school and like found friends and sat at school lunch with somebody. And so once I started to feel that, because we were busy for a couple of years, like meeting Bill Gates, we did a video with Kevin Durant right after he won the MVP of the finals, like to help him launch his channel. Like we did all these big things, traveling the world, meeting the super influential people. And it was great, super educational for him, making a ton of money. But at one point I was like, he loved golf before YouTube and he hasn't golfed for like 2.5 years. What if we move to St. George where it's like sunny, he can golf, go to school. We just sent him to the public school and he hasn't been making videos. I've been doing the family channel, basically just me running it and hosting it. And now he's about ready to he's got a scholarship offer to play golf at a college. And so, you know, you're never a perfect parent, but I'm glad that I feel like the success hasn't like gone to our heads so much that we're just like, that we put away the things that are like really important in life, like your relationships, your family, whatever it might be, that's not just about the money. So
I feel like that was hard for you, or do you feel like was it natural for you, or did you really have to work hard and pushing it away?
I saw some other people that like their families were falling apart, some YouTuber families, like they pulled their kids out of school. They're making 3 or 4 videos a day and their kids are working hard. They seem to be enjoying it. And then a few years later, like the parents are divorced. The kids are graduated at 16 years old out of school. And now they never had friends. They never did sports. They never did any extracurricular things other than YouTube. And they're kind of lost, like, what was my childhood? And that scared me. It scared me more than anything. Like, I just didn't want that to happen. So, I mean, my kids aren't fully grown yet. They could still screw it up. But I think
You've done a good
we
job
could have
for
made a
sure.
lot more money and probably made a lot more videos if I would have stayed just like, let's go all in completely on this and forget about all the side stuff. So
I talk about it all the time where it's like you're juggling balls, right? And you have your work ball, your recreation ball, you have like all these balls, faith ball, fitness ball, whatever, your family ball. And all the balls are rubber except your family one, right? And your family one is made out of glass. And I think that's so cool with your stories. It's like you prioritize that ball. because you knew if you dropped that one, the other one's a rubber, and the idea behind rubber is like it bounces back. Like you can always pick up your business. You can always go pick up your fitness. You can always go pick up all these other things. But if you drop the family one, it shatters. And in a lot of cases it does. And so I think it's really cool to hear somebody in your position that didn't let the money go to their head, that went and prioritized family as the most like prioritized or valuable commodity that you have. And that's really cool. I think it's super cool to hear.
Good example. I love that.
The other thing that I heard that you say that I wanted to highlight on touch is just like, yeah, you always thought that you were going to be successful, but YouTube didn't exist and all these other things. And when I heard you say that, I'm like, I can't remember who told me this one time, but it's always stuck with me. And it's this thought that what you're capable of becoming, you haven't even imagined yet. And when I start to really dive in and think about that, it blows your mind, because it's like looking up in the stars and looking up in the expanse of space and being like, we're in this giant rock in the middle of nowhere. Like, you just like, you can't grasp that thought. And you couldn't at the time, but you just took steps and you just worked with what you had, cheap iPhone on a counter, making a video, cutting balls in half. And now you have this life, and you would have never done that if you would have just taken action. I think a lot of times people maybe they need to maybe look at life as a whole and say, if I'm feeling depressed, if I have depression, I need to take care of that, because if that's out of balance, I'm not going to go take action in these things. If I'm feeling anxiety, I'm not going to go take action like you did and go make that video because I'm not feeling up to it. If I'm struggling in my marriage, if I'm struggling in my fitness, which could lead to depression, anxiety, and marriage and all of it. But if you're out of whack in all of those areas in your life, I find that if I'm even a little bit out of whack, I'm not as prone to go and take action, and I see it in other people. So for me, it's this holistic, and I think you're a great example of this. You try to balance all of those things so that you can take action, so that you can perform, and you can do those things. So for those listening, I hope that they hear that from you too in your story, is that you just go and try and live a healthy life, try and be in balance, and then go take action.
That's great.
Anyway, dude, so good to have you on. I learned a lot. I feel like I need to keep you at my house for the next 2 hours so that you can tell me what I need to do in my YouTube channel and what I'm trying to do.
I'm happy to keep chatting.
Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it was great. I appreciate you having me on, and sorry if I ramble too much. Hopefully there's something out there that somebody took away from it that they're like, all right, I'm going to do this.
There will be
and if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I have specific questions about this thing, like hit me up. Hit me up. My email's all over.
Where do they find you?
Place.
What's the best place?
I mean, What's Inside is all over. If you look on Twitter or my Instagram, I think it shows my email on there. It's like dan@whatsinside.it. But if somebody hits me up, it's like, hey, I listened to Eric's podcast and I have a question about this. Like, dude, send me an email. I'd love to chat. Just mention that you came from this, and I'd be happy to answer some of those questions.
That's awesome. I hope you guys do, because honestly, the value here and that this man has is incredible. So thanks for tuning in. This is episode 4, so we'll tune in next time, episode 5. Thanks, guys.